Giant Size X-Men number 1, 1975. To be clear, Giant Size X-Men number 1 takes place between issue 93 and issue 94 of X-Men. Jack Kirby presents The Uncanny X-Men. Screenplay by Lynn Wein, Dave Cochran, and Glynis Swine. From the ashes of the past, there grow the fires of the future. The grandeur and glory begin anew with Second Genesis. And the first appearance of the mutant nation of Krakoa and a totally international diverse cast. First appearance of Storm, Thunderbird, Colossus, Nightcrawler, Sunfire, not Banshee, and not Wolverine. Winseldorf, Germany. Nestled deep in the Bavarian Alps, this tiny village has hardly changed over the centuries. In Winseldorf, life is gentle, peaceful, for nothing ever happens to disturb the domestic tranquility. This way, men! The monster went this way! Monster, is it? The fools! It is they who are the monsters, with their mindless prejudices. Perhaps things would have been simpler, safer, if I'd stayed with Der Jarkmarkt. But the life of a carnival freak is not for me. Not for Kurt Wagner. Let them come if they must. Let them try to kill me. At least if I die, it will be as a man. Ironically, the astonishing leap alone lends doubt to Kurt Wagner's humanity. We've got him now! Come down, monster! Come down or we'll burn you down! And his hideous howling, like that of a baying beast, denies it completely. Go away, you fools! I have done nothing! But the only response that the cornered misfit receives is one he had hardly expected. They're utterly mad! They'll destroy their entire village to make sure that they destroy me. And for what reason? I came among them only to learn, and all I've learned thus far are the ways of blind, unreasoning violence. Well, if that is all that those who dwell in the normal world have to teach me, I will show them that I learned my lessons well. Thwam! Very well indeed. Chalk! Howling wildly, Kurt Wagner plunges through the thick of the mob, until the sheer weight of its numbers carries him down. We have him! We have him! Quickly, bring the stake! Now, monster, we will be rid of you! Now we will...
Stop!
And remarkably, they do. Was? They're not moving. What has happened to them?
I happened to them, Kurt Wagner. My name is Charles Xavier.
You did this to them? How? Why?
I heard you say you'd come here to learn, my friend. I am a teacher. I run a school for gifted youngsters such as you. A school for mutants.
Mutant? Yes, I have heard the word.
You are a mutant, Kurt. I can help you find your true potential.
Can you help me be normal?
After tonight's misfortune, Kurt, would you truly want to be?
Perhaps not. I want only to be a whole Kurt Wagner again. If you can make me that, teacher, I will go with you. Quebec, Canada. Few people know of this secluded military installation. Fewer still know of its true purpose. It is the home base of a special government agency and its very special agent. The agent cipher-coded Weapon X. They're waiting for you in the conference room, sir.
Let them wait. It's good for the soul.
But better known to us as the Wolverine.
All right, gents, I'm here. Now who's this bigwig you want me to meet?
I am that bigwig, Wolverine. Professor Charles Xavier, at your service.
Am I supposed to be impressed?
Apparently, the top brass is impressed, Wolverine. All I know is that the professor is here to make you some sort of offer.
An offer, eh? Okay, Professor. You've piqued my curiosity. What's the deal?
I'll come straight to the point, then. I know of your recent battle with the Hulk.
In Hulk number 181, the first appearance of Wolverine, Linwine and McHale.
And moreover, I know of your powers. You, my friend, are a mutant, and I have need of mutant. Desperate need.
But what about my position here?
I'm offering you a chance to become a free agent. A chance to learn to put your powers to their greatest use.
A chance to get out from under the red tape and rigmarole, eh? All right, Professor. You found your man.
What? Not so fast, fella. The government has invested a great deal of time and money turning you into what you are now. You try walking out on us, and I'll have you locked up.
Uh-huh. It seems you didn't get my meaning, friend. This is still a free country, isn't it?
Snicked.
So I'm resigning my commission.
Crip.
Effective immediately. Unless you have any further objections. I didn't think so.
Believe me, mister, you haven't heard the last of this.
Anytime you want me, you know where to come looking. Come on, Professor. Let's go.
Nashville, Tennessee. A visitor to the Grand Ole Opry finds he has a visitor of his own. Begorra, 'tis Professor X himself now.
Banshee, I must talk with you.
Shortly, in the Banshee's shabby quarters. So that's the story, is it? Then sure and I'll help ye, Professor. 'Twill be nice to tread the straight and narrow for a change. Kenya, East Africa. Atop a lonely knoll, there stands a great stone portal. Men come to it in humility, their voices raised in praise and song and prayerful supplication. Aurora, great goddess of the storm, the voices cry, come unto us and ease our burden. And with the hollow peal of thunder and the moan of lonely winds, the storm goddess comes.
I am here, my children. What do you wish of me?
There is drought upon the land, blessed one. Our crops wither, our grasses parch. 10 goats and chickens shall we slay in your honor, if you will only bring us rain. Her eyes are crystal blue and older than time. They sparkle as she answers.
Save your beasts, my children. You need them more than I. I will do as you plead.
Her liquid eyes grow dark, and then the sky grows dark as well. Once more, the howling winds come up and sweep the storm goddess away. She soars aloft like an ebon bird, lightning lancing from her fingertips, the glow of life shining full upon her face. She is happy here, only truly happy here among the elements. And the raging sky, touched by her happiness, weeps. When the storm goddess returns to the earth, at last, her joy is shared by all.
A most impressive display, Aurora. Truly beautiful.
Who are you? What business have you in Aurora's land?
I'm called Xavier, and I have come to you to make an offer I pray you will not refuse.
An offer? What have you to offer a goddess?
You have a land, Aurora, and people who adore you. I offer you a world and people who may fear you, hate you, but people who need you nonetheless. The world that I offer is not beautiful, but it is real. Far more real than the fantasy you're living now. You are no goddess, Aurora. You are a mutant, and you have responsibilities. Come with me, child. Taste the world outside. You may find its flavor bitter or surprisingly sweet.
You present a most peculiar argument, yet I sense sincerity in your words. All right, I will come with you. Perhaps the time has come to leave the nest at last.
Osaka, Japan. 2 old acquaintances share tea in the splendid garden of Shiro Yoshida.
I know your feelings toward the Western world, Shiro, and I would have not have come to you.
But you require help only I may give, so I owe you nothing, Professor. But perhaps I owe you something to myself. Perhaps it is time once more for the world to hear from Sunfire.
Lake Baikal, Siberia. It has been a good year for the Ust-Ordinsky Collective Farm. The crop has been larger than expected. The wheat fills the fields like an amber sea. And those who toil in the fields are filled with a feeling of satisfaction, the knowledge of a job well done, and fear. Peter, look, your sister.
What is... No.
Pyotr Rasputin looks up from his work, and his eyes grow wide with horror. He discerns it all in an instant. The runaway tractor, the child playing blindly in its path. And without hesitation, Pyotr Rasputin is running, legs pumping, heart pounding, the very air around him crackling with the energy of his exertion. Energy released in a most astonishing manner. The armored machine bears relentlessly down upon the unwitting child, as an armored colossus snatches her from its path. There is no time for Pyotr Rasputin to move out of harm's way. Thus he stands his ground as the rampant tractor plunges toward him. And he wonders how his poor neighbors will ever afford to buy another. That, though, is a worry for another day. This day will be filled with problems enough.
Peter Rasputin, I wish to talk to you.
That voice in my head. Who?
By now we know the answer to that question. So moments later...
You want me to come with you to America? But if I possess such power as you say, does it not belong to the state?
Power such as yours belongs to the world, Peter, to be used for the good of all. And believe me, your powers are needed.
Then come. We will talk of this with my parents. And so this professor wants to take me with him to teach me how to deal with my mutant powers. There is wisdom in his words, Papa, but I am happy here. Tell me, Papa, what should I do?
Do as your heart tells you, my son, and it will not betray you.
My heart tells me to stay, Papa, but my conscience tells me otherwise. I must go, Papa.
Then it is right that you do. Do svidaniya, Peter. Our love goes with you.
Don't worry, Mama. I will write you. Goodbye, Papa. I will make you proud.
We are already proud, my son. Camp Faraday, Arizona. John Proudstar does not like the reservation. He does not like to watch the old ones, sitting slumped against their doorsteps, dreaming dreams of glory long gone. John Proudstar is an Apache, and he is ashamed of his people. The Apache were meant to be hunters, warriors, not sad-eyed, simpering squaws. They were meant to run free through the crisp plain grasses, the wind blowing wildly through their hair. Once nothing could stand before the Apache. The bison that covered the plains fell like rain before the Apache skill, Apache bravery. But never did the bison fall like this.
There, horned one. Do you see?
Doom.
There's still a man among the Apache.
And such a man have I come looking for, John Proudstar.
Huh? How in blazes did a cripple get way out here? Not that it matters much. You've got 5 seconds to vamoose, White Eyes. I don't want company, especially not yours.
Don't be too hasty, my young friend.
I've come to help you fulfill your dream, to give pride back to your people. You are special, John Proudstar. You are a mutant, and you are needed.
And you can stuff a cactus, Custer. The white man needs me? That's tough. I owe him nothing but the grief he's given my people. Now beat it.
Then perhaps what they say is true. Perhaps the Apache are all selfish children.
Okay, that does it. Ain't nobody calls me a coward, mister. I'm as good as the next guy. Hell, I'm better. You give me a chance, I'll prove it.
And you will have your chance, John. I promise you that. But will any of my new X-Men be equal to the task that lies before you? Or will you carry the world down into ruin?
Hey, it's Mikhail. Yeah, I noticed there's some questionable talk in this episode. Remember, it is the 70s. John Proudstar has a huge chip on his shoulder. In 2 issues, he dies and stays dead for comic book forever. Spoilers. And deep down, he is a real hero. We have to take it on assumption here that Xavier has to say this to trick this macho beefcake into helping. But this perfectly illustrates how Xavier has always been a questionable character, contrary to popular interpretations of him. And has never actually had a school until the 90s. My definition of school here is having kids and people come to learn about their powers who aren't one of the 8 people in your mercenary team, or dead. Yeah, I'll cancel this shit at the beginning of our first episode back. I don't care. It's good to be back, guys.
Chapter 2, And When There Was One. Westchester, New York. The school had seemed a latter-day Tower of Babel at first, but a telepathic crash course in the English language had closed the communication gap in mere minutes. Now Professor Charles Xavier sits, somberly studying his colorfully costumed house guests, and whatever thoughts he might have at this point are his alone to know.
In all my life, such clothing as this I have never seen.
The costume is beautiful, and the fit perfect. But how did you...
The uniforms are constructed from unstable molecules, which adjust themselves where necessary. I obtained them from a man named Reed Richards, and I'm certain you'll learn more of him and his friends later. But right now...
Right now you will tell us why you dragged us here, Professor.
Sunfire, please. It was not my intention to waste your time. I've merely awaited the arrival of one who can explain the situation far better than I. My friends, allow me to present Scott Summers, the man called Cyclops.
The details, people, are depressingly simple. You've been called here because the X-Men have disappeared. You 7 are our only hope, but I'm getting ahead of myself. Come on, I might as well show you where it all began. This is Cerebro, our specially designed mutant detector. It's through this mechanism that we discovered all of you, and lost my closest friends. We all answered the signal alarm within seconds. The Professor, Angel, Iceman, Marvel Girl, Lorna Dane, my brother Havoc, and myself. What is it, sir? Cerebro has never reacted this violently before. I mean, it's a computer, essentially. It's weird.
What it is, Scott, is incredible. Apparently, Cerebro has detected a new mutant on the island of Krakoa in the South Pacific. A mutant so powerful as to defy classification. It seems you all have work to do, Scott.
Find that mutant quickly, before someone else finds them first. You heard the Professor, X-Men. It's traveling time. Shortly after, our specially designed Stratojet arced high over the patchwork countryside, streaking towards an unknown confrontation. But at that moment, our minds were on other things.
Wish we could have contacted the Beast. Hank McCoy's dexterous digits might have been handy on a job like this.
Hank graduated the X-Men, Gene. If he hasn't got time for us now, that's his business. Right now, we've got business of our own to worry about. That's Krakoa deadhead. Yeesh. You'd need a superpower just to survive on that desolate mud bar. Enough banter. Strap in for landing. We touch down moments later, our VTOL jets lowering us to the Earth as gently as an infant lowered into its cradle. Vertical takeoff and landing. Encyclopedic Len. But we are not infants, and this was definitely not a child's game.
I think we took the wrong bus, gang. This place sure doesn't look like Cleveland. All the insects in the air, the overgrown jungle. On second thought, maybe this is Cleveland.
I told you before, Iceman, shelve the snappy banter. We have a difficult job ahead of us, helping that new mutant. Maybe an impossible one, Psych, when you consider we have no idea what we're looking for. Point taken, Angel. Let's fan out and see if...
Behind us! Look! It's...
I'm ashamed to say, I never even saw what hit us. My head was a throbbing mass of pain and screaming images when I struggled awake, Lord knows how long afterward. I didn't realize where I was, nor did I really care. All that concerned me was, my friends, what happened to the other X-Men? And worse, what had happened to me. My eyes! Dear heaven, my eyes! They're uncovered! They're normal, powerless. However hard I try, I can't project my optic blasts. Did you hear me, world? I can't... Huh? That's when I discovered I was back on the Stratojet, and I wasn't in control. Automatic pilot is jammed. Can't turn this crate back to the island. I spent the next 5 minutes pounding futilely on the control panel, then resigned myself to the situation and sat back in my seat. I wasn't happy by the time I reached Westchester. Not happy at all. Slam! Professor, I'm back!
Cyclops? What? Where are the others?
The professor was no happier than I after I told him.
Do you mean to tell me the other X-Men are still on that island? And you have no idea what's happened to them?
I know nothing, Professor, except that something on Krakoa cured my eyes and deposited me back in that... Huh? What is that, Professor? Why are you looking at me like that?
Your eyes, Scott, they're glowing again? Quickly, Scott, grab your protective lenses. Your optic powers have returned.
No, not again. Don't let it happen again. But I should have known better than to even ask. The optic energies that had cursed me since I was back in my early teens were back again with a vengeance. And this time, they were so strong, even I could not control them. Kroom! Scat! The professor modified one of my old visors to contain my increased power. Then left me here to retrain myself while he went in search of you.
And he found us. So now what?
So now we go back to Krakoa to find the original X-Men and the mutant that defeated us.
Incorrect, Cyclops. Now you go back to Krakoa, not I. I will have no part in this fool's errand.
What? I don't understand, Sunfire. We offer you a chance to help your fellow mutants, and...
I do not even like my fellow mutants, Cyclops. I certainly won't risk my life to help them.
I feel sorry for you, Sunfire, but I don't have time to waste arguing. The rest of us have a job to do, and we're going to do it. Moments later, the Stratojet streaks skyward, and there is only one empty seat on board.
It seems I've had my first taste of mutant camaraderie, and I must say, Cyclops,
I did not like it. Maybe you didn't notice, sister, but this group ain't exactly a mutual admiration society. We're all involved in this for our own reasons, and patting each other on the back ain't one of... Huh? Hey, One Eye, there's something following us.
Are you going to open the hatch, Cyclops? Or do you expect me to fly all the way to Krakoa myself?
So the prodigal mutant returns. Why did you change your mind, Sunfire? Afraid to go home alone?
My reasons are nobody's business but my own, misfit. You do well to remember that.
Chapter 3, Assault Force. An hour passes, 2 hours, until the forsaken atoll called Krakoa looms full before the viewpoints.
So that's where you mislaid your partners, huh? Can't say much for your taste in vacation spots, Summers.
And I can't say much for your sense of humor, Wolverine. Nor yours, Thunderbird.
The name is Proud Star, One Eye.
Not anymore. The professor has given you all code names, Groot. You might as well start getting used to them. Now the assault team will be as follows. Storm, you and Colossus will come in from the north. Banshee and Wolverine will come across from the east. 'Tis a pleasure to be working with you, laddie.
Whoopee.
Sunfire and Nightcrawler will start searching from the south.
No, not him.
I didn't hear Cyclops giving you a choice, man. Thunderbird and I will handle the west end of the island. Now get ready, South Team. Your drop is coming up.
I don't much like the tone of your voice, Cyclops.
We can argue about it when we get back. Now go. East Team, go.
Cripes, do you have to screech like that?
North Team.
That is our signal, Storm.
Colossus! No! You fool! You cannot fly.
Of course not, but I can land with the best of them.
The chick and the rooski have landed, and it looks like they're arguing, which is about par for this outfit.
We're going down next, Thunderbird. Strap in. Once more, the Stratojet's VTOL systems lower it to the Earth. And though he tries, the man called Cyclops cannot suppress a shudder. How many more will we lose this time? He wonders morbidly. Will I even live long enough to find out? But he's a professional, this star-crossed mutant. The questions follow him as he steps out upon the landscape. But he leaves his fear on the ship. East is that way, Thunderbird. And the sooner we get started, the sooner we'll get there.
Yes, sir, General One-Eye, sir. I just hope you're not leading me into another little bighorn. It'd be just my luck to be another Indian massacred by...
Hold it! I left the mini Cerebro unit back in. Huh? I don't believe it.
Don't believe what?
The Stratojet.
It's gone, but that's impossible. The ground doesn't just open up and swallow a jet plane whole.
Absolutely right. And strange temples don't suddenly spring up out of nowhere. But one has.
Huh? That joint wasn't there when we landed?
Exactly. And since it seems as good a spot as any to start searching, let's go. Grumbling in annoyance, the mutant now reluctantly called Thunderbird follows his Cyclopean companion into the verdant underbrush. John Proudstar has never much liked the jungle, and apparently the feeling is mutual.
The vines, they're alive.
A condition we won't share much longer, unless we do something fast.
Got any suggestions in particular, One-Eye?
Scrack! Not really, Thunderbird. For a beginner, you're doing pretty well on your own. Within moments, the two young X-Men have left the strangeling creeper vines far behind them, and it is not terribly difficult to determine which way they have gone. 14 minutes later, well, we've made it in reasonable shape. I wonder how the others are faring. Well, minutes earlier, on the island's north side...
Odd. I do not recall seeing that temple before. Come, Colossus. Let us begin our search there.
Whatever you say, Aurora. You're unlike the girls in Maya. That sound.
Rumble.
An avalanche! Quickly, Colossus! Perhaps we can still outrun it.
This landslide cannot be outrun, Aurora. It has changed its direction to follow us.
Then we cannot avoid a confrontation. We must stand our ground and defend ourselves.
Those mad rocks can no longer hurt me, Aurora, but for threatening you, I shall crush them.
Quump.
Thank you, Peter, but there's no need to protect me. I'm no longer threatened.
And shortly, Storm, Colossus, glad you made it in one piece.
Barely, Cyclops. Just barely. I only hope the others arrive safely as well.
And on the island's east edge... Saints, laddie! Will you look at the size of these beasties?
Looks like the welcoming committee, Irish, but a handshake from them can be fatal. Good thing they're not the only ones around here with big sharp claws, isn't it? The Wolverine has claws of his own, and Irish, he likes to use them.
Scrack!
Hey, are you going to stand around gawking, Irish, or are you going to help me?
But the airborne mutant is already aloft, and though his sonic scream is not nearly as flamboyant as his companion's slashing talons, it is nonetheless equally effective. Eee! Sprat! The battle is violent but brief. Well, laddie, sure and it looks like we've done for the beasties. We best be getting onto that temple we spied a touch back.
Yeah, sure. There's nothing to keep us here anymore.
And soon... Faith, 'tis good to be seeing ye all again. 'Twas a moment there had me doubts.
And you are not alone.
While on the island's south side, these birds seem determined to prevent us from reaching that strange temple ahead, Sunfire.
A remarkable observation, Misfit. You have a talent for stating the obvious.
Your sarcasm is uncalled for, Sunfire. I begin to think the mutant community is no more hospitable than the human. Eh? That bird! Scree! About to rake me with its talons? A burst of flame, the stench of brimstone, and the mutant called Nightcrawler is suddenly elsewhere.
His laugh is little more than a hideous howl.
Your manner seems much like that of beasts you so resemble, misfit. How appropriate, but Sunfire has no need for such parlor tricks as yours. I much prefer the direct approach.
Your direct approach, it appears, has left us without any opponents, Sunfire.
Then I suggest we get to that temple, misfit. Assuming, of course, you can keep up with me.
And finally, Cyclops, have we kept you waiting long? Not at all, just got here ourselves. And since we are all finally here, I think it's about time we found out what's inside this tumbleweed temple. And I've got a gut feeling someone lured us here for precisely that purpose, and I'd hate to disappoint them. It appears we're going to have to earn the dubious privilege of getting in there. The door is sealed tight, and it's about a foot thick. Sunfire, Storm, Colossus, looks like the time has come for your first practical lesson in the art of being an X-Man. The lesson is entitled Breaking and Entering, and although the neophyte X-Men lack the finesse of their predecessors, Quaroom, they certainly get an A for effort. Still slightly astonished by their own abilities, the young mutants step cautiously into the Stygian darkness. Oh my God. And find their hearts swelling heavy in their throats. Oh, my dear God! It's the other X-Men!
And something seems to be feeding on them.
Well, don't just stand there staring at them. In pity's name, set them free!
Cripes, what's going on? As soon as we pulled these tubes loose, the place started shaking itself apart.
Quickly then, carry whoever is closest to you. And let's get out of here before the temple comes down around our ears. And even as the arcane temple topples into ruin behind them, hey, they're coming around. Must not have been as bad as... Why, Cyclops? Why did you come back for us? Huh? You fool! Don't you understand? It wanted you to come back and bring others with you. It was a trap. And now it's too late. The ground, rearing up around the fallen temple. Of course. Haven't you realized yet? We came to this island to look for a mutant, but the mutant is the island itself. Chapter 4, Krakoa, the island that walks like a man. Images flood mutant minds as they stand rooted to the spot. The sunburst brilliance of an early atomic test, whose unseen radiation permeated every living organism here, until they grew linked in a colony intelligence that gave the island a life of its own. But Krakoa grew hungry then. A hunger barely appeased when the X-Men arrived upon the scene. Krakoa fed upon the mutant energies and grew hungrier still. Thus it released one X-Man and sent him forth to find more food, which Cyclops did.
And now we will go hungry no longer.
Filthy monster, you used me, like a lousy Judas goat leading lambs to the slaughter.
Yes, we used you, Eyeless One, as we used the Disabled One who gathered you all together at the command of a voice only his mind could hear. But the time for explanations is past. Now is the time for Krakoa to feed.
Scatter X-Men quickly! Ugh! Zakak!
You lily livers want to scatter that swell, but the Wolverine is going out for blood.
Assuming, of course, this vegetarian monstrosity has any, which is doubtful. Your solar blasts have no effect on this thing, Sunfire. Nor do my bolts of lightning. But we must fight on, whatever the risk. Mere words could never begin to describe the sheer unbridled savagery of the battle that follows. So we won't even attempt it here. Suffice it to say that the conflict goes wildly on until...
Scott, stop! You're going about this all wrong.
Huh? Professor?
I've been mentally monitoring your battle thus far, studying this living island, and I believe I've discovered its sole weak point. Now, this is my plan.
In an instant, Professor Charles Xavier's mental commands are projected halfway around the world.
Then he closes his eyes, steels himself for the coming ordeal, concentrates, and the battle is joined. It is a war fought on two fronts, as Professor X wages deadly mental combat with a crazed community intellect, while his students race to carry out his plan. At Cyclops' command, the eyes of the mutant called Storm grow dark once more, and she soars aloft on the wings of the wind. High above Krakoa she hovers, slowly summoning to her the Tempest's full electronic fury, then suddenly transmitting those seething energies to the lithe young woman who waits anxiously below, thus restoring the mighty magnetic powers of the girl called Lorna Dane. Within moments, the circuit is completed, and Lorna Dane screams in anguish as her physical limits are reached and exceeded.
Don't stop. Lord, whatever you do, don't stop.
You've got to call it off, Scott. Lorna can't take the kind of punishment. She'll be killed.
Alex, I can't. I can't sacrifice a world to save one woman, Alex, even if she is the woman you love.
I swear to you, brother or no brother, if she dies.
The remainder of Havoc's angry outburst is slain by the crackling roar of the downpour. Even as the torrential waters lend life to something else. Wow. Gagoa! The blinking beastie's getting stronger now. But how?
Cyclops, the island's mind has suddenly grown more forceful. I can't maintain my assault any longer. Forgive me, Scott, but I fear you're on your own.
Fools! You brought rain from the sky to destroy us, but it serves only to replenish us and give us strength to destroy you.
But as before, the X-Men argue that point quite strongly.
We can't hold this thing off forever, Scott, if the professor's plan doesn't work.
We'll know if it works soon enough, Jean. Get everybody back. We're about to begin. With that, a solemn Scott Summers turns to find that the figure of Lorna Dane has become lost within a coruscating, incandescent tower of sheer magnetic force. His mutant eyes narrow, and a single word forms upon his lips. Now! With almost indescribable force, Lorna's magnetic energies erupt downward, through 5 miles of ocean, through 4,000 miles of the Earth's ancient crust, down to the very molten center of the planet itself, where its effects are immediate and violent. It's working, exactly as the professor said it would. We've only got seconds to clear out of here before the end.
Lorna's too weak to run for it.
The lady doesn't need your help, hotshot. She's in good hands for a change.
Why, you little...
Argue later. Now just move it. And move it they do, as few other beings on Earth possibly could.
Holy crow, will you take a look at the beach up ahead? This whole frickin' island is breaking up around us.
Never let it be said we Icemen aren't good for something, Angel.
Everybody get aboard, and fast! Swiftly, the desperate X-Men clamber aboard the crude icecraft, then hang on for dear life, as the mutant powers of Cyclops and Havoc propel the makeshift vessel away from Krakoa with the speed of a hurtling hydroplane. Behind them, the world convulses in carnage, as the result of Lorna Dane's energy bolt become apparent at last, for her electronically charged burst has cut across the planet's primary lines of magnetic force, severing them. And for an instant about the island Krakoa, gravity ceases to exist. Then the Earth forces come violently together, and the effect is the same as squeezing wet soap through a fist. Krakoa's death cries ring long seconds in the minds of the awestruck X-Men. Then a new frightening reality intrudes upon the scene. Brace yourselves, everyone. There's trouble ahead. The ocean is rushing to fill in the space Krakoa just vacated, and we're caught in the whirlpool. Quickly, Bobby. Throw an airtight ice dome over this raft. It's our only chance to survive this miserable maelstrom.
Voraciously, the great ice bubble is sucked into the wildly swirling maw, and those within are battered almost senseless against the cold, unfeeling walls. They voice their pain enthusiastically, and then they are gone. The seething waters swirl closed above their heads, and for a time the area is calm. The minutes pass interminably. Then the huge gleaming bubble bursts the water's surface, and is itself burst in turn by a beam of scarlet fury. Fresh air, a warm sun. Did you ever see anything more beautiful? Yeah, that! Almost forgot the old Stratojet is watertight. Paddle over while I go open the hatch. Sorry we don't have seatbelts for all of you, but this plane wasn't designed for so many mutants. Which brings us to our next problem. What are we going to do with 13 X-Men? We'll find out in the next issue when the Doomsmith strikes and Thunderbird dies forever.